Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Pet Talk on the Joe Maxwell Show. I am your host, Joe Maxwell. On today's episode, we will be talking about whether or not a woman should downplay her success to keep or find a man. Have you ever heard a woman can never keep a man because she's very successful? We're looking at the likes of Oprah, Taraji P. Henson, Mo Abudu, and lots of them. It's been a struggle to keep those two lives successful. However, I've got a question. Do you need a man to make your life complete? We're about to find out from our guests. Take a look at who they are. Hi guys, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Joe. How are you?
So much. I'm well, I'm very well. You look very amazing.
Thank you, so do you. You look amazing.
Thank you so much.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I find each time I'm always complimenting my guests, and each time I watch back, I'm like, why do you always have to compliment on the dress and the top? And some people start thinking it's like the similar line, but they always look so good.
So do you. So do you. We're only reflecting the glory of our hosts. Exactly, I agree with that actually. That's true.
Thank you so much guys for joining. Right, so today's going to be girl talk. It will be girl talk, and I want you guys to give me all the sauces and all the juices. Like, which your shades when we need to show.
Are you ready?
Let's do it. So right, on this topic of, should a woman downplay her success to keep or find a man? We have that. You find lots of women. There's always one struggling to find a man, or I'm having issues in my marriage because I'm constantly out on this, media round. I'm just too busy, and my husband is complaining, or whatever it is. The question is, should a woman downplay her success to keep a man? Yes or no?
No.
Lamide, yes or no?
Okay. I think it's black and white. It's not black and white.
Yes,
it's
or no? We're in an example. It's a question.
Can I?
We'll come to the reason you say. Well, you just gotta keep. You can say no. You can say yes if you want. But should a woman downplay her success to keep a man?
I'll rephrase the question a little bit so that my answer would be clearer to all. No. So what I'm going to say is, should a woman? What you're saying fundamentally, Joe, is that should a woman basically downplay her success? I'm saying it verbatim, or should she pretend she's not successful, undermine her efforts and her energy? Is your answer yes? To stroke her man's ego. My answer is no.
Right. Okay.
My answer is no.
Okay. So no. So we kind of both agree on that. We've got lots of women that are very successful, that are doing very well right now, and coincidentally they are not in relationships, or they're not married, or they're divorced, and it almost feels like the reason that's happening to them is because they're very successful, right? We have, obviously, I can't start naming, we've got lots of people who are single and they're doing very well. Now, before we kind of go into those ones, I think I'm just going to come to you, Tolu. You're single. I know, at least in your own space and corner, you're doing very well. You're successful, partner, I would say. And I'm sure, being in that journey, being single, you would have probably met a few guys here and there and have issues. So I'm just going to go into you for like a few 60 seconds. Okay. What's your experience, and how can you relate to this topic?
I can definitely relate to this topic, especially because it's based on perception. That the perception is, if you are single and you're successful, is because you're successful, but there's no other factor. Like, maybe I met the wrong guys, or maybe, we worked together and our lines started deviating. It has nothing to do with that. It must be because you're successful. That must be the reason why you're single. So that's why my initial thought was, why should you downplay it? A guy who's got a good head on his shoulders would not be intimidated by your success. He will want to compliment it because you're complimenting him. That's how I say it. But I've met so many guys who have said, oh, you must be this way because you're successful. And that is what pushes them away, versus, get to know me. I'm actually quite sweet. I like to cook. I love to dance. Did you know that? No, all you saw was a title. So for me, the question is one that actually strikes a chord because I'm living it. And it's based on other people's perception versus the reality of the person you are and one part of it is successful. The other parts are the bits that make you you.
Yeah. So are you finding it harder being a single person to actually, again, finding a man or having a man does not make you a complete person.
Correct.
But of course, we all want to be married and start a family.
Yes.
But do you find that that's making you? It's almost like a struggle.
Yeah, I think it narrows your criteria down, like your pool down, because the more successful, quote unquote, whatever that means to a person, the more successful you are, the more, I guess, I don't want to use the word standard, but there's certain things that you look for because you want to ensure the person's on the same right frame of mind as you are, going the same direction you are, and so on. So it narrows the pool down a bit. So in terms of finding a man, I'm not averse to dating someone who's not in my industry, or I'm not averse to dating somebody who makes less than I do, because that's not what makes life turn. But are you comfortable with that? Are you also comfortable with the fact that I don't want to be the ultimate breadwinner? So I might push you to be a bit more ambitious or a bit more driven. Do you understand what I mean? So like it narrows that pool in terms of the kind of people that you're interacting with, and the kind of people that get you as a person.
As a person, right? Okay, thanks for that. Let's bring this home a little bit, and I say home into the family. So you're married, Lamide. You've been married for 10 years now, right?
Yes, I am.
So once we've heard the being single and trying to find a man, let's talk about the keeping a man, right? Keeping the home. I know it's a woman, you've got your 9 to 5, and also you've got your
stuff on the side.
Absolutely, you do. Now, how do you find that? How do you find still doing all this wonderful stuff, and still keeping the man happy?
Okay, I think fundamentally, when a woman meets a man, there are two scenarios in which a woman could be seen as settling for a man that's below her station, which then brings about the question of whether or not he's comfortable enough to stay in the relationship. So I think the first one is a woman meets a man who is driven, is ambitious, he's got a lot of potential, is educated, is highly skilled. However, he hasn't had the opportunities yet to lead him to that level that he needs to be at.
So let me cut you short there. Are you able to relate? Because I think what will be good for our guests to know is sometimes it's good to talk in theory, sometimes it's good to talk
in practical.
But I think what will be good to know is, have you ever found yourself? So I want us to be very practical, hence why I'm saying you're a married woman. Let's go into you a little bit. If you don't mind, by all means,
I don't mind.
Yeah. If you've experienced that in any way where you found yourself in that area, and it shook things a little bit.
I think I was talking about my experience, but it sounded theoretical.
Right, okay.
So when I met my husband, I was a qualified solicitor. I was working. I'd bought my flat, and I was driving a little Jeep, and I was extremely comfortable, at least by my age group. At the time, I was in my 20s. And by normal standards, I was seen as a successful person because I was a professional, and I was earning my keep. My husband, when I met him, he had a lot of potential, highly educated. He was doing his MBA, but he hadn't settled as much as I had settled. But I saw the potential, and I saw the drive, and I saw the ambition. And what I did, a woman doesn't necessarily have to downplay her success, but she needs to have an attitude check. And that attitude check is what you call humility. You need to be respectful. You need to not condescend to a man that's still in the process of getting to where he needs to be. And a man that's got a lot of potential, that's driven, that's ambitious, that's educated or highly skilled, is secure in himself to understand that that woman is a compliment to him. Just buttressing what Tolu said as well. That woman is a compliment to him. That woman is a catalyst to his next level. If he swallows a huge dose of humble pie and knows how to recognize that this woman is a blessing to me. I don't need to be intimidated by her. I don't need to be insecure. I don't need my ego stroked.
Can I just jump in? Because this is the bit where I would actually kind of almost reframe my answer, because I love everything you're saying and I think it's so key. But I think a lot of the focus is on the woman. I'll give you an example. Yeah, I'll give you an example. I meet a guy, and it's a scenario where it's very, very, like the setting is I walk in with a girlfriend for her to meet somebody that she knows, and we're having coffee. It's someone I'd met previously before only once, and we said hello, and that was the end of the story. So he doesn't know much about me, and I was actually very quiet that day because I wasn't feeling too well. So I wasn't there to brag about. First of all, I came by tube. I wasn't driving, so you don't know what kind of car I have. You don't know if I own my flat. You don't know anything about me. I sit down, and he just starts talking. He's a doctor. He's qualified. He's doing very well. Very handsome man, clearly ahead in his field. And then he turns around to me and says, oh, by the way, what do you do? Now, I don't know if it was in his mind, he must have thought maybe I was lesser than maybe I was, or whatever. So I turned around and I said, oh, I do this. And he went, oh, what does that mean? And I explained a little bit. It couldn't have been more than 30 seconds. And he turned around and he went, oh, I can see why you're single. He didn't ask if I was single. He didn't know if I was single. All he knew was that I didn't have a ring on my finger. And the reason why he said that was because I guess I get passionate about what I do. And so when I was talking, I think he felt like, wow, she's confident. And that threw him. But why are you thrown? You're a doctor.
Hold on a minute. That was supposed to be a date, right?
No.
Okay.
No. It was so much. I found out later she was trying to hook us up.
Okay.
Right? But she didn't tell me. She just said, oh, I'm going to introduce you or whatever it was. Only for me to react. I sat back. It really upset me. I got so angry. That was the first and only time I think I've ever said to somebody, other than you're just not, you're very silly, to the fact that, yes, I do this. I went to school to do this. I was very much about my accolades at that point because I was like, you have no right to sit there and diminish what I'm trying to say simply because to you, you're intimidated. But why are you intimidated? First of all, I'm pretty sure he earned more money than I was at the time. So I realized it's a frame of mind. We put it on the man, but actually he was immature, insecure. Why? There was no need. He didn't know anything about me. So actually, no, I don't want to downplay my success in that instrument. You're not for me. You and I are not meant to gel.
So I think that's a valid thing that you said. And I think just quickly going back to what Lamide said earlier in terms of a woman, you have to. I think you don't have to. The criteria is still a lot on a woman because the expectation is still all down to a woman. Whereas I think it's important for a man to understand,
to be humble.
I agree.
Absolutely.
That's why I said, just swallow a huge dose of humble pie. Be humble. Be mature enough. There's a lot of maturity. I think we use the word maturity very loosely. It takes a lot for a man to look at a woman and say, she's successful. She's earning more than I'm earning. She's more socially successful. She's probably more physically attractive than I am. However, I'm going to see her as a motivation for me. I'm going to see her as an inspiration. I'm going to see her as a catalyst for me to get to where I need to get to, or even surpass. And that's what happens. My friends and I have a very close knit of friends, and we all have that in common, where when we met our men, we've got a chartered accountant, we've got a project manager, we've got solicitors, and when we met our men, they were still in the process. They were in the process. But so now we laugh about it, say, oh, you remember that car your husband used to drive.
But did you downplay your success to get him?
You don't downplay your success, but you have an attitude check. And that attitude check is you being extremely supportive, you believe in them to the point that they suddenly grow wings and they start to fly.
Let's talk about. Some women are fortunate. Now, let's go to the ones that are less fortunate. Right. Let's talk about the women that are doing very well and they're married to men who would never support anything they're doing. You know,
it's the man's problem.
Okay, so the question is for those women who find themselves in that situation, I cannot go for a media run. I cannot do stuff. You know, I've got an event coming up. I can't do that because my husband wouldn't allow me to do that. So in that instance, she's thinking, I've got the business, I've got a marriage, I've got my children. So what happens is she's living in someone else's shadow because she cannot do what she's supposed to do. I think what would be good is to give us an example of how to downplay your success or your attitude.
Okay, I think basically what I'm saying is you don't necessarily dim your light or downplay your success because it's there. You can't hide success. It's not something you can necessarily hide. So it's not about downplaying your success to stroke your man's ego. It's about having an attitude check.
Let's be practical.
Yes.
Give us an example. For example?
So for example, you could be aspiring to purchase a property, and the kind of property you're looking at based on your bank account could be like a 6-bed, detached, massive swimming pool. And based on your partner's income and his bank account, he's probably looking at 3-bed properties.
Listen, I don't agree.
Let me tell you why I don't agree.
I haven't finished. Now, what I'm trying to say is, because for me, marriage is it's a union. You're now one. So for me, if you're not ready to be the sole breadwinner, you're obviously not going to be ready to be paying the entire bills. You need to come together and agree and probably just I mentioned 6-bed. The lady was looking at a 6-bed. He's looking at a 3-bed. You can compromise and get a 4 or 5-bed based on both income. You're not downplaying your success, but you have to reach some compromises until the man rises.
And what if he doesn't?
To your standard.
But what if he doesn't?
With nurturing.
It doesn't.
You've asked me to speak by experience.
Yes, but
with your support, with nurturing your man's potential, his drive, his ambition, and you're the catalyst. He's looking at you. You're his motivation. You're having kids now. He's now inspired to do more. Trust me. He will rise and even surpass your level. Okay. Any man can. Men have egos. The little ones, I have sons, so I know. The little ones, the old ones, even the old papas, they're wired with it. But there's nothing we can do about it.
Can I say
that to nurture it as a good, virtuous woman and wife?
We're going to cap on that because some of the things I don't personally agree with. But I think, we can all, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me questions about, I want to buy this property, but my husband can't afford it. What should happen? Should we just go move to a 1-bedroom?
No, you come together.
Or even me, when I wanted to buy a car, I'm single, so I'm not even speaking within that frame of marriage. I can only learn from married women. But in terms of being a single woman that has to downplay her success, when I was buying my car, the advice I got was, do you want to marry? If you want to marry, don't buy that car. I was like, why? Because if a guy sees you in that car, there's no way he's going to approach you. The funniest part is my friend wanted to hook me up with a guy. He liked me from seeing me. He took my number. We got down to the car park and he said to my friend, her husband said, I'm throwing her number away. I will not call her. And it was like, why? I was like, see the car she drives. And I was like, are you joking? Based on a car, if that is your limitation, you're not the guy for me. Because you know what? Anyone can lease a car. I'm sorry, you don't even know if I bought it. So for me, it could be my brother's car, my dad's car, it could be my car. But if that is your limitation, you're not the man for me.
Do you know what, guys? We can be here forever because I've still got lots of questions that I want to ask. Time is definitely an essence. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I've had so much fun on this.
I love when my girls kind of, all together. So that's it for us, guys, on this episode. Let us know your thoughts. We're definitely keen to hear that. Until next time, I am your host, Joe Maxwell.